To Kill a Mockingbird, Chapter 2, third video. Jim condescended to take me to school the first day. A job usually done by one's parents. But Atticus had said Jim would be delighted to show me where my room was. I think some money changed hands in this transaction. For as we trotted around the corner past the Radley Place, I heard an unfamiliar jingle in Jim's pockets. When we slowed to a walk at the edge of the schoolyard, Jim was careful to explain that during school hours I was not to bother him. I was not to approach him with requests to enact a chapter of Tarzan and the Ant-Man, to embarrass him with references to his private life, or tag along behind him at recess and noon. I was to stick with the first grade and he would stick with the fifth. In short, I was to leave him alone. Well, the first observation I have is actually a construction. I didn't put it in our Quizlet because it's much more of a construction than vocabulary. Take a look throughout the directions Jim gives our narrator. There is this thing repeating itself. Look. When he showed, Jim was careful to explain. And then, during school hours, I was not to bother him. I was not to approach him with the request to enact, etc. To embarrass him or to tag along. I was to stick with the first grade and he would stick with the fifth grade. I was to leave him alone. Okay, this is very, very interesting, and actually in all of those cases you could substitute for supposed to. Okay, supposed to is, remember, of course, is something you have to do, right? For example, in order to record my videos, I am supposed to prepare something before, like the Quizlet list, some of the notes I have here, right? If you study here at CCA in a regular book, you are supposed to do, I don't know, 12 lessons a semester and do the test and etc. etc. You're not supposed to touch, I don't know, the TV during class, things like that, okay? So that's the construction, right? Some of the words I didn't put in our Quizlet because we have seen before, but are worth mentioning. Condescendent, right? Remember, if you are condescendent, it means that you are kind enough, you know, you are kind to a poor person, okay? And then if you condescend as a verb, you know, right? So he condescended to take me to school. He was kind enough because he was sorry. We don't know exactly if that's what happened. He was sorry because of our narrator's condition of going to school by herself, taking into account that her father wouldn't take her there, right? Delight, right? That is very happy. There is this idea of money changing hands in this transaction. Look, you can understand it's quite literal, right? Money changing hands. So the father gave Jim some money so that he could take his sister to school. But what I want to tell you is how it sounds. It sounds like a business thing, or probably a scheme. You know, let's imagine you're talking about corruption. This is exactly the kind of structure you would use, you know. That company would build the bridge even though its prices were higher than the other companies, but some money changed hands in this transaction. Okay, so that's how it would sound to a native ear, to a native's ear. Now, keep in mind that it's supposed to cause an effect. You know, it's not by accident that the author decided to use those words, right? And what kind of effect is it supposed to cause? It's a comic effect, all right? Let me see if I have anything else I didn't put in our Quizlet. No. Now let's go to the words I put in our Quizlet. Remember that tag is that game, all right? Here we have the word tag along, or the expression tag along. If you tag along, you stick to a person to go somewhere. Remember? The example I put it there in our Quizlet. Do you mind if I tagged along? I'd like to see the show at the museum too. All right? So it's to follow a person, to go with a person. Keep in mind that if you are at school, there's going to be a recess. Recess is the break. It's just another way to say the break. Okay. So let me read it again. I think now we have the ability to understand it much better. Jim condescended to take me to school the first day, a job usually done by one's parents. But Atticus had said Jim would be delighted to show me where my room was. I think some money changed hands in this transaction, for as he trotted around the corner past the Radley Place, I heard an unfamiliar jingle in Jim's pocket. Question: what does that jingle say? Answer: if you couldn't answer because of the word jingle, remember that I don't know, you have the jingle, the jingle of a bell, for example, during Christmas. You know, that kind of sound. You know. So can you answer now? What was the jingle in Jim's pocket? Answer: of course, it was coins. All right, so probably Atticus gave Jim some coins to show the room, the classroom, to his sister. I heard an unfamiliar because Jim usually didn't have money, right? Mainly at a time like this, in a time of crisis, right? So I heard an unfamiliar jingle in Jim's pockets. When we slowed to a walk, because remember they were trotting, and then my question is, why were they trotting and then they slowed to a walk? Answer: well, one possibility is they were passing in front of the Radley's place, right? So you are supposed to walk faster. I don't know if you answered because they were getting to school and they didn't want to study. I don't know, maybe in Jim's part, maybe, but not the girl, right? Because she's really excited to start school. Okay, so when we slowed to a walk at the edge of the schoolyard, Jim was careful to explain that during school hours, I was not to bother him. I was not to approach him with requests to enact. Enact, remember, is like, oh, you pretend you are Tarzan, I pretend I am the other character, and then, okay. So I was not supposed to, I shouldn't bother him or approach him with requests to enact a chapter of Tarzan and the Ant-Man. To embarrass him, I was not supposed to embarrass him with references to his private life, or tag along behind him at recess, at break, right, during the break, and noon. And noon, because keep in mind, the idea is in most schools in the United States, you have you go to school and then you have lunch there, and then you spend part of the afternoon or all the afternoon there, and you go home just at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I don't know. So there would be two moments the girl could tag along, right? During the recess, during the break, probably in the middle of the morning, and during the lunch break, right? I was to stick with the first grade and he would stick with the fifth. In short, I was to leave him alone. In short, to summarize, right? You mean we can't play anymore? I asked. Well, no, sorry. We'll do like we always do at home, he said. But you'll see, school is different. It certainly was. Before the first morning was over, Miss Caroline Fisher, our teacher, hauled me up to the front of the classroom and patted the palm of my hand with a ruler, then made me stand in the corner until noon. Okay, let's go by part. Imagine you have to carry, I don't know, a fridge, all right? And you don't have one of those special cards, you know, movers have, you know, to carry a fridge. So you call, I don't know, two friends and they're going to help you. I don't know if you have ever tried to carry a fridge, but even with two friends or four friends, it would be very hard for you guys to pick it up and lift it, okay? So what do you have to do? You have to hold the fridge, you know? That's the idea. I put a picture of a guy there pulling a rope trying to haul something we can't see, you know, and then I put the definition. To pull something or someone with a lot of effort. Perfect way to understand it. We see people hauling other people very frequently in the movies, right? A person kills somebody and then you have to haul the body, all right? Well, that's the first thing. Keep in mind that when you pat a person on the back, you say, very good, okay? Okay. You can pat the dog on the head, right? Or even pat the dog like this, or like this. Oh, good dog, good dog. Okay, but there's something contradictory. But just before I talk about contradiction, I wanted to show you a ruler. I don't have a ruler. But, you know, a ruler is like a piece of plastic. Let's imagine you want to make a straight, of course this is not a ruler, right? But let's imagine you want to make a straight line on your notebook. So there is a piece of plastic like a stick, right? And then you're going to use it. That's a ruler, right? Ruler. Okay. But then there's something strange. Pat. Good boy, good boy. Good job, right? But then Miss Caroline, who is the teacher, hauled her up to a corner. So there was some violence, let's say, okay? So probably the teacher pulled her by the arm and took her to the corner. But why pat? And why pat the palm of the hand? Let me tell you. Because I don't know if you knew in the past, like really in the past, because not even when I was a child it was like this. Some teachers used to punish their students, you know, spanking their hands with a ruler, okay? Hitting their hands with a ruler. And that's what happened. So we don't know what our narrator did, but probably she did something wrong. The teacher got her out of her desk, hauled her up to the front of the room, not hit, patted her hand with a ruler, then made her stand in the corner, right? So we know that probably it didn't hurt, okay? I'm actually quite sure it didn't hurt. Okay, we'll see why pat and not just hit, right? But let me read it one more time now that we have explored the words. You mean we can't play anymore? I asked. We'll do like we always do at home, he said. But you'll see, school is different. It certainly was. Before the first morning was over, Miss Caroline Fisher, our teacher, hauled me up to the front of the room and patted the palm of my hand with a ruler, then made me stand in the corner until noon.